think Jason kind of nailed it in this regards. I think it went wrong the moment Durant decided to team up with Kyrie and not, as part of teaming up with him, decide to, for the first time in his career, be the true unquestioned leader of the team. Durant's well documented that he thinks that is not his job. I think he's wrong, but he thinks his job is to simply be the best basketball player possible. But that will create a leadership vacuum, and Kyrie will step into that vacuum. And what we have seen is every place he goes, it ends with him having burnt it down. The 2017 Cavs were the best team LeBron James has ever been on. And Kyrie, the final game of that season, after the finals, sat at the press conference when they lost to Durant and the Warriors. And the last thing he said to the media was, what a blessing and a privilege it has been to play with LeBron, and how he hopes to continue to play with him and learn from him over the next decade of their careers. 6 weeks later, he threatened to have knee surgery if they didn't trade him. He then, a year later, goes to Boston, cuts a commercial saying he wants his jersey hung in the rafters. 6 months later, he is plotting with Durant to leave Boston and go to Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, this summer, he said he would never leave 7, meaning Kevin Durant. 8 days ago, 8 days, he held a press conference when he was asked about how this season's similar to last season. And he said there are no similarities because unlike last season, I'm here all the way in. And 3 days later demanded a trade. So there is one common thread here. And the Mavericks now were so desperate because they made a mistake in trading for Porzingis. Then they made a mistake in not extending Jalen Brunson early. And now they're worried that Luka is going to say, you got to be kidding me. Like, what are you guys doing here? So now they are, in my opinion, making a terrible bargain, which is maybe we peel a title this year, but in the long run, Kyrie will burn it down there as well. Either leave this summer or make the situation toxic, and that won't be good for the Mavs' long-term ability to keep Luka Doncic. But that is the consistent thread throughout Kyrie's entire career, which is he leaves places in shambles and he doesn't seem to recognize that he is the common thread.
Is there any benefit for Kevin Durant, who, although injured a lot, it feels like in the last 3 years, is still lethal offensively?
Well, listen, I actually think, so I don't criticize Durant for leaving the Warriors. I know you've called it one of the biggest mistakes, any star player's ever made. But the entirety of the media, aside from you, was basically telling him anything you do in Golden State doesn't count. Go win a real ring. Go lead a team. So then he tries to go do that, and now everyone's like, why'd you leave? What are you thinking? and the answer is because you guys all said I had to. So here's what I'll say. Because I am a season ticket holder, and I do actually like the pieces Brooklyn has now. They have switchable wings on defense. They have tons of shooting. They have some decent size. I like Dorian Finney-Smith a lot, and I think they're going to add a backup center. I'm not sure Spencer Dinwiddie is actually going to end up playing for the Nets. I think they might make another move before the deadline. If Kevin Durant takes this team on a run, even if they don't win the title, this is a better supporting cast than LeBron had in 2018 when they went to the finals. This is a better supporting cast than Luka had last year when they went to the Western Conference Finals. If Kevin Durant can, as the unquestioned, to use Charles Barkley's term, bus driver, make this team viable, make this team a real threat in the Eastern Conference playoffs, to me, that is an important benchmark for him legacy-wise. That even if they don't win the title, because here's the other piece of it. There are people to this day that will argue Kevin Durant's the best player in the league. I think it's unquestionably Giannis with Luka in second. Colin, if this Nets roster were the exact same, but in place of Kevin Durant was Giannis, would anyone be writing that team off? The answer is no. If it was Giannis Antetokounmpo and then this supporting cast, would you say that team can win the title? I would, because you would say they have shooting, they have defense, and they have a super-duper star who can go for 40 on any given night. So that is now the opportunity that sits in front of Kevin Durant when he gets back healthy.
So I said earlier in the show, the remarkable thing about LeBron surpassing Kareem is Kareem was the Iron Man before LeBron. If he surpassed MJ, we'd say, well, MJ retired twice. He took time off. At the end, he played for a cruddy team and didn't care. But Kareem played forever and could hit a skyhook on his last possession, and is viewed as a scorer. LeBron's not, and he's going to blow past him. I grew up with Kareem. Now, I don't remember the Milwaukee Kareem because that was like 71, and then he got traded. I started watching basketball like 72, 73. But that's remarkable to me that I don't view LeBron as a scorer. I think he's magic, but a better athlete, stronger, and a little better jumper. Be that as it may, I do find it remarkable that I always viewed like really Kareem's record is kind of one of those nobody would beat. That's how I view it.
Unbreakable, of course. And if it was going to be broken, it would be broken by someone who that season was averaging 9 points a game in year 20 or 21, kind of limping towards the finish line. Here's what the fact that LeBron James is going to break this record in a season where he's averaging 30 points a game is unfathomable. And I would like to debunk this idea that LeBron James is not a great scorer. You can make a compelling argument. He is the greatest scorer. And the argument is very simple. And you know what? Let's just give greatest scorer title to Jordan. So let's just say Jordan's 1 and LeBron is 2. Well, what about Kobe? LeBron literally averages more points per game than Kobe and is wildly more efficient. And I know folks will say this isn't true, but it literally is, a better three-point shooter than Kobe.
Yeah.
But makes a higher percentage and, of course, has double the career buzzer beaters as Kobe on double the efficiency. When everyone says the clutch stuff is all Kobe. Kevin Durant and LeBron, they both average exactly 27.3 points per game for their careers, and LeBron does it at a higher efficiency. When people say LeBron is not a great scorer, what they're actually saying is he's not a pretty scorer.
That's true.
That there's not as much majesty to watching him score.
Yep.
You know who's one hell of a scorer? Giannis. You know how I know it? Because the dude averages 30 whenever he wants to, but he does it with brute force. And I do think because when people talk about LeBron as a scorer, they say, well, he only has the one scoring title. Jordan, of course, has 10. I think you can make a very compelling argument that the fact that years 19 and year 20 for LeBron James, he's top 5 scoring in the league each of those years, number 2 last year, and averaging more than 30 points per game. Why? Because that's what his team demanded due to the injuries or the roster construction. That if he wanted to win the scoring title the way Jordan did all those years, he obviously could have.
Yeah.
Instead, he was more focused on, getting teammates involved in other things. But he's going to, I told you this last week, but I want to reiterate it. Right now, there is a smaller gap in career points between Michael Jordan and Paul Pierce than there is between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. And when he finishes, he's going to finish with 44,000, and Jordan's at 32,000, and folks are still going to argue one guy was a better scorer.
That's pretty well said. So I got to ask you this, and I know this could either be one of the great 10-day periods of your life, or Kansas City gets dusted, and it's just miserable. So you live on that emotional cliff every day, and you don't do yourself any favors because you're poking people in the ribs all day, and so you're just begging.
Gambling on it. Yeah, all of it. Sure, no problem.
And smoking cigs while you're gambling and watching. So it's a lot of stuff going on for
that's
you.
Unfortunate.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Go ahead.
Chiefs Eagles. Is there something in your head you're like, that does worry me a little? Worries me a little about Philadelphia.
Okay, listen. I think Philadelphia I think the Chiefs have a good offensive line. I think Philadelphia has the best offensive line. The Chiefs finished this year with the second most sacks in football. The Eagles finished with the most sacks in football. The Chiefs, as far as great pass catchers, have one in Travis Kelce. The Eagles have a far greater overall pass-catching crew, receivers and tight ends. The Chiefs have 3 rookies playing corner. The Eagles have expensive veteran corners, right? So they have, I think the Chiefs are good almost everywhere. Oh, I didn't even mention the running game where the Chiefs are starting a 7th-round rookie and a journeyman in Jerick McKinnon, and the Eagles have one of the most efficient running games in league history, right? The reason I don't think it's going to matter is because I agree with you that Jalen Hurts is not yet nearly the caliber of quarterback as Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts has thrown for 270 yards total in the playoffs and has not looked great doing it. And Patrick Mahomes is the most talented football player any of us have ever seen with our own eyes. Yeah. And I think this Sunday he can paint his masterpiece on 1.5 feet. I think that the only thing missing from Mahomes' resume is a start-to-finish dominant Super Bowl performance, and I think that's what we get on Sunday. I think he's going to look as healthier than he did last week. I think the fact that, yes, the Chiefs lost a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. However, you were up against a quarterback who had been to 9 of them previously and a coach in Bruce Arians who had been to a Super Bowl previously even though he had lost. Now you're up against a coach who's never been there, a quarterback who's never been there. Your offensive line isn't banged up. And for Mahomes, it would be the capstone to the greatest start to any career in the history of the sport. I understand Brady won 3 of them in his first 5 seasons starting, but he also missed the playoffs once, didn't make the conference finals another year, and never won league MVP. If Mahomes in his first 5 years has 2 league MVPs, 2 Super Bowl victories, makes at least the conference finals every single year, and wins 2 Super Bowls, makes a third, there is no comparison. And I think that's what we're in store for. And I know some folks believe, oh, the Eagles might be able to run away and hide. Colin, the Chiefs have played 32 games in a row that they have either won or lost by 4 or fewer points. 32 games since they were last beaten by more than 4 points. You're not going to blow this team out.
All right. But by the way, part of the charm and appeal of you is the black and tans, the gambling, the putting yourself.
Black and tans. They're black and milds. But that's fine. I appreciate that. No, I understand. It makes me relatable to the audience. Can I say something very quickly here? And I know you have to get to the news.
I didn't know what they were.
This is very important.
Okay.
No. Okay, no, they're not cigarettes. It doesn't matter. They're cheap cigars. I offered you one at your house, and you were like, does this come from Havana? If not, I don't smoke it. You threw it on the ground. I want to tell you something. I have been chasing you professionally since I was in college, since before we knew each other.
All right.
And then we became friends and we ended up working together, and it's been one of the great stories of my entire life is our relationship.
Yeah.
6 days ago,
what happened?
I finally thought I had something over you. What? And I couldn't wait to see you at the Super Bowl because I got Patrick Mahomes on my TV show, and you had never gotten Tom Brady on yours. And I'm like, oh, man, I can't wait to see Colin on Wednesday. And then yesterday, I turn on the herd, and Tom Brady's there 4 days after I get Mahomes. And I'm like, not even this. It's unbelievable. How does this happen? It's unbelievable you did that.
You know, as your mentor, I was not going to bring it up, but I'm glad you did. It's true.
It's unbelievable. 4 days after I get Mahomes, you get Brady. I can't have nothing, man. It really is unbelievable. Thank you, Colin.
All right, buddy. Great seeing you as always. First things first, a good friend and one of the really talented guys in this biz, Nick Wright.
It all kicks off Super Bowl Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.